Exhibit number 1 relates to a civil rights summit that was held in East St. Louis, Illinois on August 25, 2011. My case was filed in the United States District Court, that's federal court, on July 22, 2011. On the same day, July 22, 2011, a news article was printed, and it revealed that a federal investigation began of East St. Louis School District 189. My case was filed with EEOC in May of 2010. Lengthy delays took place with the case while it was with EEOC, and very lengthy delays took place with the case while it was with the federal court. Exhibit 2 is my fourth motion for an appointment of counsel. Appointment for a court-appointed attorney is what that means. I filed a total of 7 motions for an appointment of a court-appointed attorney. Throughout the case, the judges would give me different rules to follow. I needed to tell why I needed an attorney and show my efforts, that I tried to have an attorney to represent me, that I put the effort into trying to have one. I was told that the case was in its early stages, so if one would eventually be appointed. After so very long, an attorney was assigned to represent me. He expressed that he would not be effective, that he had never handled a case like mine, and that I could request a different court-appointed attorney. I expressed that there had been so many delays and that I was willing to continue. He asked to withdraw, and he was permitted. A second person was assigned to my case, and he asked to withdraw. And I filed motions each time they wanted to withdraw, even though I did not feel that they were the best, because so many delays had taken place. I didn't feel that I would be treated fairly, because I had not been. After the second person was permitted to withdraw, I learned that he did not have a license to practice law in the state of Illinois. That motion for an attorney, Exhibit 2, consists of 3 pages. Exhibit 3 is a motion that I filed, a motion for all just and proper awards to be granted to me, because there had been so many delays. I decided to tell my story and to mention numerous exhibits, trying to discourage the mishandling of my case. It consists of 25 pages. Also, Exhibit 3 is a document that I filed on October 22nd. It lists each exhibit and it gives a description. It consists of 16 pages. Without an attorney, I was ordered to produce all of my exhibits, and I emailed them to the attorney for the district for East St. Louis School District 189. And just days after then, I emailed some additional exhibits. And all of that took place in May of 2013. On May 28th, 2013, I filed a document that described the additional exhibits that I emailed to the attorney for East St. Louis School District 189. The additional exhibits relate to how damages are determined. One area mentions employment efforts to mitigate suffering, so that was feared of. Another area mentions emotional harm, meaning, once again, this is how they determine the damages that are due. So after a wrongful termination and not having employment that causes the person harm. It mentions moving expenses, so that's listed. This document consists of 4 pages. Exhibit 4 is an amended complaint. After my July 22nd, 2011 complaint to the federal court, I was advised to amend the complaint. The first 2 pages consist of information that I felt would be important, and then the official complaint is listed. I shared here that miraculously nearly a year ago, I was freed after being suspicious of being abducted and have resumed having to try to avoid other attempts. So it is more than sad that bullies will pick on you, and then after you stand up for yourself, they try to have you taken off the planet. Exhibit, this is still the same exhibit, it's the official first page of the amended complaint. It consists of a number of pages, once again asking for a court-appointed attorney to represent me. Exhibit 7 are some notes printed off of the internet from EEOC. Page 2 helps you to learn to begin to compute damages. Awards that are due to you. It consists of a number of pages. Exhibit 8 relates to some cartoons that Saturday Night Live aired. Another skit was in the news that related to East St. Louis being a hellhole. And certainly there are some outstanding people that live in East St. Louis and who work in East St. Louis. My last year or so working with the school district revealed a lot of mysteries, unfolded a lot of mysteries. For years I did not know why people felt as they did about it. I'm always shocked when they learn that different people lived or worked there. Exhibit 9 relates to a poem that I wrote while enrolled in the class during all of this chaos. Here it mentions 2011, on my picture, purple, you decided to squirt. I met with my brother Harold Watson Sr. at Walgreens to make a copy of this picture, and he said that something had spilled on the picture. After so long, I said, we need an investigator. I just didn't know how much was involved here. Months later, Larry Watson invited me to meet with him, Cheryl Manuel, formerly Watson, Farida Cox, formerly Watson, and Harold Watson Sr. Larry Watson invited me to meet with all of these siblings at the cemetery as we paid respect to some loved ones on Memorial Day. During that meeting, Harold Watson Sr. revealed that he put the purple on my face. The siblings took turns trying to provoke me and joined in trying to provoke me. It was all related to the case with East St. Louis School District 189. So Exhibit 8 of Saturday Night Live mentioning the hellhole, it's more than eye-opening, jaw-dropping, chilling, hair-raising to know how many people love chaos and confusion and oppressing others. And there have been times over the past 3 years that a sibling or 2 or 3 where we connect, and I still look forward to more pure times, more true times, more trusting times. Exhibit 10. It relates to a financial oversight panel, June 27, 2012. Shortly you will see where the school board members have been ousted after my wrongful termination. And a judge, and 2 pastors and some others were appointed to be the new Financial Advisory Board. And it is unbelievable that those four would allow this case to go as it did, for me to be more than mistreated. Exhibit 11. Relates to some rules relating to ESL Law School District 189 that don't really. It talks about liability. And insurance. Again, that's Exhibit 11. And also workers' compensation. Exhibit 12. Relates to a June 2011 annual statement of affairs report of East St. Louis School District 189. It shows that $378,771 was paid to Decker, Paulson, and Horner. Attorney Horner was the attorney that attended the 10-609 unwarranted hearing, which related to 8-2409, when Donna Cameron tried to provoke me. And in the 10-609 unwarranted hearing that she requested, she confessed to Linda Baldwin, who worked with General Service Employees Local 382. She confessed that her disorderly conduct, her more than disorderly conduct towards me, only ended after I went to try to call for help. Donna Cameron and others had been trying to provoke me. Exhibit 13. St. Clair County, Illinois. Case history for Donna and Cameron. Here a charge was raised to be amended to disorderly conduct. And there is a fact. So she was put in position to try to have me to behave in a way where I would be terminated or whatever else they had planned for me. Exhibit 14. Kim Haywood, who was a male, was the president of General Service Employees Local 382. St. Clair County, Illinois. A number of names and birthdays relate to the name Kim Haywood and the approximate age of Kim Haywood, the president, who was or who is the president of General Service Employees Local 382. On this particular one, there's reckless driving. On this one, there's aggravated assault. On this one, there's image of alcohol and driving. Here, leaving the scene. So these kinds of people were put over others. Very negligent discharge. Exhibit 15 is a motion that I filed to continue. It relates to a motion filed by then Attorney Chris Coker. Page 2. Exhibit 16. It's a 4/15/11 news article. State Board takes steps to control District 189. Here it mentions there will be lots of eyes and lots of sanity checking of decisions by the school board. That article consists of 3 pages. Exhibit 17. Sorry about the small print. July 22nd, 2011. It mentions the State Board of Education hires former federal prosecutor to investigate operations in East St. Louis School District. Exhibit 18. I always offer the court to collect phone records, and this mentions that Jim Haywood, who's the male, called me and then I called him back. This is on July 22nd, 2011. It mentions that no messages were left. I've mentioned that in the document. Exhibit 19. This is my first complaint filed July 22nd, 2011. Several months later, I was advised to file an amended complaint, and I did that January 27th, 2012. Exhibit 20. The Illinois State Board of Education has hired a formal federal prosecutor to lead an investigation into operations at the East St. Louis School District 189. Exhibit 21. Two high-ranking East St. Louis school officials no longer work for district. August 22nd, 2011 is the date on this article. Here is mentioned Princess. She signed all of the documents that were sent to me for harassment. Mentioning the union again, I never received proper representation. As mentioned before, Donna Cameron did testify to Linda Baldwin, who worked with General Service Employees Local 382, that her harassment towards me, her more than disorderly conduct towards me, only ended after I stopped working on an ad assignment and tried to call for help. I had not given any attention to Donna Cameron trying to initiate unnecessary contact from me, and I had refused her offer to go to lunch. Exhibit 22. A news article from the St. Louis American newspaper. Up top it says, well, school board officials are dropping like flies at East St. Louis School District 189. Here is an original of Exhibit 23. After the school board was ousted, and they went to state court, here, as they are ousted, they stand at a graduation. Here's the original of 24. East St. Louis School Board ousted. It's a newspaper article. As the other one was. As mentioned, the new Financial Advisory Board consisted of 2 pastors, a now retired judge, and a nun, and it's more than shilling and hair-raising that they have allowed this case to go as it has. This is Exhibit 25. During these days, an article was printed regarding Rowena Lewis being supervised at another school. This came right after a meeting where she was trying to have Kathy Walker Steele to put false and misleading information on the paper about me. And of my inviting Kathy Walker Steele to ask for an email from Rowena Lewis that I composed The email revealed some information about a person who turned out to be special to Kathy Walker Steele, and another leg of retaliation began. So once again, Marina Lewis was reassigned in the newspaper, emphasized that she was being supervised at another location. Exhibit 26. I invite the court to obtain a phone recording of a telephone hearing of the Illinois Department of Employment Security, the Board of Review. Exhibit 27. Here's the first page. Of my appeal. It consists of a total of 10 pages. Page 5. Still, the basis for their unreasonable request is illegal. My lifestyle and beliefs are heterosexually and monogamously based, and I chose not to respond to or interact with sexual harassment from staff involved. Page 3. The judge asked the basis for the unreasonable request of me, and Ms. Hayes, Princess Hayes, commentatively indicated that it was my interactions with staff and only mentioned Mrs. Davis. I expressed that I did not respond to or interact with the sexual advances of her nor others. Once again, I am a heterosexual, and Lonzo Greenwood and a number of others, still I did not respond to their sexual advances. Lonzo Greenwood, Mary Davis, Bridget Howell, and the new portion of 115, the 115th exhibit. You will hear where Bridget Howell tries to lead me into the stairwell after the 10-609 unwarranted hearing. So once again, a number of people were involved with the sexual harassment. Lonzo Greenwood, Mary Davis, Bridget Howell, Linda Baldwin. You'll hear her on the audio of the new part of Exhibit 115, trying to demand unnecessary, lengthy eye contact, more subtle sexual harassment came from Maria Lewis coming to the computer lab, beginning to frequent the computer lab so often and bending over as to work with a computer in front of me as I sat at one behind her. And Lily's O.W.E. unnecessarily leaning against me as we worked on reorganizing a library after she was hired as a consultant. Exhibit 28 is my effort to try to have an attorney to represent me as the court advised after so much has been revealed about East St. Louis. Once again, there are some great people that live there and work there. I decided that, or I've learned that it's important for people to know how you grew up, that you were safe. So it says here, my childhood was safe, comfortable, and fun. Signs of trouble were few, and I hope that my life continues to be that way. It's not difficult for people to learn to respect race, religion, sexual preferences, and in this case, work-related injuries. Also in this case, retaliation. Yes, there's a time for peace and a time for war, but this was not the time to war against me. By any time that I've been able to see. Exhibit 29 that I've been able to see, nor my trusted friends and prayer partners to see. It says that East St. Louis Local 189 failed to discharge its responsibilities or obligation. They intentionally delayed the termination and gave me a date to use as a wrongful termination date. That particular date made me miss a deadline for filing for unemployment benefits. And in that document, the authorities said that they failed to discharge their responsibilities. In this second document from the Department of Employment Security, they mentioned the reason for my wrongful termination, and I want the world to know that it related to my views that are heterosexual, monogamous, and biblically based. Once again, Princess Hayes mentioned Miss Davis. Miss Davis had stalked me by waiting outside and reached to shake my hand, and instead of a handshake, she massaged the inside of my hand, and then later stalked me in the library and touched me on the shoulder and said, "Come and talk to her," and then began to make me lift heavy chairs onto and off of the tables. And no students came to the libraries at 558 North 27th Street, nor 1915 North 55th Street, where Miss Davis worked. So the libraries weren't used often. Students at the 27th Street location came regularly, sporadically. Some classes came here and there regularly. and I was hired to work as a media technician in a computer lab, not as a librarian. I never received any unemployment benefits. Exhibit 29 relates to the different mailings that I did for trying to receive benefits. Exhibit 30 is my 2004 application for the school district. Lonzo Greenwood asked me where did I live, and then he said he would have to get by there. I let him know that his special advances were not welcome, and this took place in 2004 before that application. I was not hired. Exhibit 31. A reference letter from Board Member Kenneth Williams Sr. written to Kathy Walker Steele. Who Donna Cameron said she was retaliating against me for. That will be shown in the next exhibit to come. Exhibit 32, a reference letter from Alvin Parks Jr. to Kathy Walker Steele. On being led to rejoin the community, I made myself acquainted with Alvin Parks Jr. and asked him to run for mayor, feeling that this was the reason that I was led to reconnect with the community, and I wanted to carry and do my part. So I asked him to run for mayor. He asked for a biblically based theme, and I suggested life more abundantly, and that theme continues to be used. And even board members Lavandia May Neely and Irma Galladay used it as they ran for re-election, and other people used it also. Exhibit 33 is my 2005 application. I was hired only as a substitute clerk, and I feel that this was in retaliation for resisting Lonzo Greenwood's sexual advance. When he asked me where did I live and said that he would have to get by my house, or my home, and I told him that I could not accommodate him. Exhibit 34 is a document required to be hired regarding a physical, a TB test. Exhibit 35 is a document submitted, a poorly copied document of District 189 submitted to EEOC. Exhibit 36 relates to another firm that's required for being hired. Exhibit 37 relates to another document. for being hired. Exhibit 38, another document required to be hired. Exhibit 39 is a blank application that EEOC requested from East St. Louis School District 189. It's clear that they did, and their point was to prove that the unwarranted request that was asked of me was not a part of the application. Exhibit 40 relates to my being hired as a sub-clerk. It was Kathy Walker Steele and Teresa Saunders. There was two played roles in my wrongful termination and events that led to it. Exhibit 41 relates to a form letter that I wrote for all precinct committee women and committee men to use in their precincts around the community. Exhibit 42 relates to being hired for my 2006 position. Great notes about me, as they continue to be all my life. I examined the person, named the boss, on this particular date, 2/20/06, and found no evidence of physical or mental illness that will conflict with the health and interests of public students. Exhibit 33, Exhibit 423, I'm sorry. Shows that I successfully completed and passed the test to become a teacher's assistant. Exhibit 44 is my application to be hired as a media technician in paraprofessional second. Exhibit 45. Me meeting some more requirements. What this exhibit relates to. This is going to be part 1 of the exhibit. Will pick up in just a moment. This page is going to end. Please stay tuned. This video will end.